What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to World According to Briggs and a video about state capitals. I have an issue with state capitals that suck. Big pet peeve of mine. My view is this, that a state capital should be the best freaking city the state has to offer. Honestly, it is the state's most important city. They should be doing whatever they can to make the city a shining example of their beautiful state. I'm not blaming the citizens. Well, not all citizens. If you're out committing crime, putting graffiti everywhere, or you have a broken down 1971 Winnebago in your front yard that hasn't moved since 1983, I'm blaming you and the elected officials of your capital city and state that let your state fall into this kind of disarray and basically garbage. I get it. Cities are hard to control. You'll never get rid of all crime. Population density plays a big part in crime and poverty. But if other cities can be decent places to live, your state capital can be too. And some of these state capitals have sucked forever, and that's not right. Everyone's gonna have a couple down years. That happens. Budget problems, whatever. Lose a big employer, things like that happen, but you should be able to fix it. Today we're listing the 10 most dangerous capital cities in the US. Some surprised me, I'll tell you that right now. This data reflects the 2019 calendar year and was released from the FBI in September of 2020. This is the most current data available. All right, let's see the most dangerous state capitals. Number 10, Jackson, Mississippi. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, I thought Jackson, Mississippi would be way worse. They have extreme poverty, and this, by most standards, is probably one of the worst capital cities in the nation right now. But they're only at number 10 when it comes to how dangerous it is, which that's a good thing for Jackson. When you see some of their other stats, you look at this one and go, oh, well, that's kind of refreshing. Jackson, Mississippi has a population of about 160,000 in the city itself, then about 576,000 in the metro area. They have a violent crime rate that's 98% higher than the national average. Number 9, Albany, New York. Albany is the state capital of the Empire State. Congratulations, Albany. You finally made it onto one of our lists. This is the first time we've ever talked about them, I believe. 4 or 5 years of making these videos and Albany finally gets on this list. You know, not a lot of their stats are, I would say, terrible to get them at the worst, poverty or anything like that. And none of their stats get them on a best of type list either. They're just kind of in the middle, except in violent crime. They have more than they need. If you look at the place, it'll probably surprise you. Albany is a beautiful place. They've got great architecture with a lot of older restored buildings that are in really good shape. It's a very green city and has the Hudson River running just east of town. Albany, New York has a population of 97,000 that's in the city, and the entire metro area has 1.1 million residents and a violent crime rate that's 101% higher than the national average. Number 8, Hartford, Connecticut. Hartford shows up on a lot of negative lists. They can't help it. I think they're trying to achieve a level of suckage that is well above and beyond any other city in New England. One thing I have noticed about Hartford is whenever they show up on one of these lists, nobody ever defends them. Any other city, any other state that has negative stats or show up on a worst of list, I get all kinds of comments and messages and occasional emails on people saying they don't think it's that way and they think I'm wrong. Well, not Hartford. They all agree, it seems like. I never get emails from those people. Hartford has 124,000 residents in the city itself with 1.2 million in the metro area. And they have a violent crime rate that's 126% above the national average. Number 7, Dover, Delaware. Dover never shows up on any of these lists. They're kind of middle of the road on everything statistically, except violent crime, obviously. This again was a surprise because, like Albany, it's a beautiful city, at least for the most part. And you don't expect a beautiful city to have violent crime. I was actually so caught off guard, I checked a couple other resources and looked back at years past on Dover, and yeah, this is about normal for them. Dover doesn't have a lot of people. They only have 38,000 residents, with the metro area having about 152,000. So it's definitely not that big. But they got a big city's violent crime rate. It's 129% higher than the national average. Number 6, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The only thing that shocks me about this one is they're not number 1. Baton Rouge is a violent city. If you look at the stats on most of the things going on there crime-wise, you would probably think you're looking at the stats of a supermax prison. The Pelican State capital city has had crime issues since forever. I honestly doubt it's going to get any better anytime soon. Baton Rouge has 220,000 residents in the city, with about 830,000 living in the metro area, and they have a violent crime rate that's 147% higher than the national average. By the way, did you know Baton Rouge means red stick in French? Number 5, Lansing, Michigan. Lansing is northwest of Detroit and southwest of Flint, Michigan, completing the triangle of poor decision making. Lansing is improving, believe it or not. If I would have done this list last year, they would have been number 4 on this list. So bravo, Lansing, you're moving in the right direction. Not far, but you're moving in the right direction. Lansing has almost 119,000 residents, with 464,000 living in the metro area, so it's a good-sized place, with a violent crime rate that is 191% higher than the national average. Number 4, Trenton, New Jersey. You had to know Trenton was going to make a list like this. Trenton has all the bad stats in all the right places. I mean, they have some really bad stats, including a really high violent crime, yet they still have an average cost of living. You know, there's normally this trade-off. When you have bad crime, high poverty, unemployment issues, you get a really low cost of living. It's like Trenton went on Pawn Stars and Chumley said, you know, average is the best I could do. And they went with it. The one thing I will give Trenton, and I think it's overlooked a lot, is they have a lot of history in that city. From the Continental Army staying there to the French-Indian War, there is a lot of history in this city. But this city has 83,000 residents, with about 368,000 in the metro area, and they have a violent crime rate that's 196% higher than the national average. Number 3, Indianapolis, Indiana. I don't know what the deal is with Indy, but every time I do a list like this, I get a bunch of Indianapolis yahoos coming out of the woodwork to explain how I'm wrong about the stats. They try and convince me that Indianapolis is some kind of nirvana that we should all be moving to. It's not. I mean, it does have some positives, but violent crime is not one of them. I'm sure those guys are going to show up on this list too. If you think these stats are wrong, I would suggest calling the FBI and telling them you don't agree and you would like a recount. Indianapolis has about 876,000 residents, with the metro area having a little over 2 million, and they're rocking a violent crime rate that is 235% higher than the national average. Number 2, Springfield, Illinois. I don't like seeing this one. Springfield was once a great city. These days, it's one of the places that you always seem to meet someone that's from there. And they always have a story that includes something like, as soon as I could afford a car, I left Springfield. I actually know a stand-up comedian from Springfield. He told me he ended up in Vegas after leaving. Actually, he said he left Springfield. He ended up in Vegas. He woke up one morning. He had gum in his hair and like body glitter all over his face. And he was wearing tight leather pants. And he was in a hotel room with a bunch of other people. And he said the worst part about it is, I don't own leather pants. That was pretty good. I think he moved back to Springfield. No word on the leather pants. Springfield has 114,000 residents and about 211,000 in the metro area. And they are killing it, no pun intended, with a violent crime rate that is 300% higher than the national average. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. We would very much appreciate it if you would go there, watch some videos, give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you like, or subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Little Rock, Arkansas. Yeah, imagine that. Little Rock, Arkansas is on a list of things that suck. Little Rock is what you'd consider old school suckage. They've got all the things you want in a really bad city. They've got poverty, unemployment, crime rate that's through the roof, and a violent crime rate that's even further through the roof. My suggestion to the state of Arkansas is move state capital to Fayetteville. It's not the best, but it's so much better than Little Rock. Little Rock has a population of about 197,000 residents, with the metro area having about 738,000 residents, and they get to brag about the highest violent crime rate of any capital city at 301% above the national average. Bravo, Little Rock, you're doing great things. All right, that's today's list. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Have a great day and be nice to each other.